Well, the G20 leaders' efforts to tackle currency and trade imbalances floundered at the summit in South Korea. Joining us this morning with his thoughts on the G20 and also China's relationship with the United States is the president of the National Committee for U.S. China Relations, Stephen Orlins. Great to finally meet you, have you here. Do you think that the president missed out on an opportunity here with China at the G20?
Well, he missed out. He met with President Hu on the sidelines of the G20, which is in and of itself terrific. This is the 7th time that they've met together. We'll host the state visit for President Hu in January, which will be the 8th time, which is once every 3 months, which is terrific. I mean, I remember years ago when they met and it would be headlines. It would be the first story in every newscast in the United States.
Right.
Now it's kind of part of the everyday life.
Par for the course almost. Yeah. But these meetings have not generated, though, as some would say here in the United States, enough movement on China.
China is moving for its own interest. We've seen, I think since I first appeared a few months ago, we've seen a 3% appreciation in the RMB. On an annualized basis, that's about 7.8, 7.9%, which is pretty good. If that goes on over a 3-year period, we'll see a 20% appreciation in the RMB. So I think we have got good movement. And these meetings are very useful, not necessarily on the appreciation of the RMB issue, but on issues like North Korea, Iran, other important geopolitical issues.
Right, that are important for both the United States and for China.
Absolutely.
Okay, Steve, earlier we had Mike Novogratz on with us from Fortress Investment, who had quite a few opinions on China that were different from yours. I mean, you argue that we shouldn't put that much pressure, public pressure, on China. Let's just have you listen to what he had to say about this.
The Chinese have done a masterful job of playing the cards on this one. I mean, they've turned a problem of them having a peg currency or an overinflated currency into our problem and saying, geez, it's the U.S., look what they're trying to do. It's worked internationally. It's actually worked domestically.
And he thinks that we should be putting more pressure on China. We should be tougher on them.
Well, I'm not sure what we could do to really make it tougher if we enact the kind of legislation that our Congress has talked about. I think it would be terribly counterproductive. But I think the reality is the Chinese are moving. They are appreciating the currency. They are slowly moving towards a more market-based mechanism. They are moving towards a consumption-led economy. If you look at their most recent 5-year plan, their 12th 5-year plan, it talks about shifting to a service economy, shifting to a service-based, to a domestic consumption-led economy.
Right.
And that is what is going to ultimately rebalance the global economy.
But that gets all clouded, though, Stephen, as you can well understand, with the fact that the Chinese, while they have moved 3%, as you say, since the depegging, have not moved fast enough. Is there anything else?
That's our political problem, I think. I think our political system doesn't have patience. It's part of the problem with corporate America. We have quarterly earnings. We want things to resolve in 3 months. But in fact, when looked at over time, I think they're moving in the right direction. And they have shown in their economic planning that they announce a plan and they actually execute a plan. Right, and this 12th 5-year plan is calling for a consumption-led economy.
Right, but that would say that the U.S. is isolated in this. I don't think it is. I mean, there are other countries, certainly around the world, that are also frustrated with a lower yuan, that are also running deficits. I mean, we are running the biggest deficit with China, but certainly we are not alone in this.
Well, certainly the G20 did come out with a fairly vaguely worded plan to have surpluses defined as excess surpluses defined as a percentage of GDP, and that is something which I think the G20 could all agree on. So other nations are joining with the United States in that. Of course, it's not only China that's focused on. It's Germany and other countries that's current account surpluses are in excess of 4% of GDP.
Okay, so bottom line then for Steve, for you, what could be the risk of China coming out and putting pressure on the United States? What could happen there?
Well, when you say China putting pressure on I don't think China is looking to put pressure on the United States. China is looking to have
a bunch of treasuries.
It's mutually assured destruction. I don't think we're going to see China do anything with those treasuries. They've never really threatened, outside of their blogosphere, they've never threatened to do anything with those treasuries. If they were to sell them off, which some people talk about, the greatest loser in that would be China, and the Chinese economic authorities understand that.
Okay, all right, Stephen, thanks so much. Good to see you.
Great to see you in person.
Thanks for stopping by, Stephen Orlins.